Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Shine at Work podcast. I'm your host, Karen Weeks. As a transformation career coach and culture and people leader, my goal is to help career-oriented humans get unstuck so that they can shine brighter in business and in life. I believe that you deserve a career that lights you up because, spoiler alert, it also impacts how bright you shine in your life. This season, each week, we will focus on a key skill that you need to shine at work and inspirational stories on ways to navigate your career, because I know what it feels like when your light is dim. I made a career change from theater to HR and now expanded to coaching, and at times in my life, I had to take a look deep inside to see what was most important, what made me shine bright, and make adjustments along the way. It's possible. I did it, my guests did it, and I help others do it every day. I hope you walk away from each episode not just inspired, but with some actionable advice. And I hope that you find it so valuable that you subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and tell your friends, because we all deserve to shine bright in our lives, specifically at work. Okay, let's jump into this week's episode. Before we start today's episode, let me ask you a question. How are those New Year's resolutions going? If you're like me, and lots of other people I know, by the way, you start the year off strong in January with a great plan to hit your goals. You hire the trainer, you sign up for the class, you start journaling, you get up early, you bookmark some job sites, all of the things that we think are going to take us to that place we want to be in the new year. Then life starts to get in the way. You slip a little, you get distracted, you miss 1 week. Then you really start to miss some of those goals and you don't see the impact you wanted, and your motivation drops and drops and drops. Which is natural. You're not seeing the impact because you aren't taking the steps to get there. I've been there. I've been there this year. And like I said, we are not alone. According to a psychological study, 64% of people abandon their resolutions after just 1 month. Personally, I have not gotten on the Peloton as much as I wanted to. It's not because I don't want to. I love doing it, but something isn't clicking. I've got a blocker, and I can't figure out what that is. So I actually work with my own wellness coach to figure out what is blocking me from hitting that goal. So you can do the same. You can also be part of that 36% that actually hit their goals. And I can be that person to help you. I work with people one-on-one to help them get unstuck and shine bright in their career and life. My Unstuck framework helps people specifically unshackle yourself from your current mindset, i.e., let go of the past and remove labels, nail your new career target, identify where you want to go next, slay your skills, in other words, identifying your transferable skills, talk to everyone. This is just networking 101 stuff that we'll go through so that you feel more comfortable reaching out to people. Then we're going to unlock your new brand. So how do we position yourself through your resume, through LinkedIn, through telling your story for the thing that you're trying to achieve? Then you're going to crush your interviews, which is just a bunch of prep, practice, and working through what kind of questions you might get and how to talk through some of the gaps that you might have so that you can kick butt in your career. You're going to land the gig and set yourself up for success. So, do you want to get unstuck? Sound like something that you might need a little help with? That's why I'm here. And the amazing thing is that it's not just about your career. It's actually about living the life that you want to live, that's right for you in this moment. That's what this is all about. That by working together, you'll gain the tools that you need, the support you need, the confidence you need to identify the right career path and land a new job to shine bright both at work and in life. So if all this sounds good and you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, I don't want to be part of the 2/3 that doesn't hit their goals so soon in their career, you can email me directly at karen@karendweeks.com or use any of the links in the podcast to connect with me through my website, on my Instagram, or through LinkedIn. Let's connect to help you achieve your goals this year and shine at work. Now, onto our regularly scheduled programming. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here with Erin today. I actually just recently met Erin and was immediately blown away, both by her story, but also about the advice that she has about creating healthy habits and really helping us hit success through that. I know the old adage of like, you have to do 1 push-up to get to 25 push-ups, but especially in our job searches and in our careers, it's very hard to create habits that are sustainable. And it's very easy to be like, oh, that didn't work, and we walk away. So I'm very excited to have Erin here to share her advice. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here.
Yes, I am so excited. So as I mentioned first, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself and share your story. So let's kind of rewind a little bit and, let's kind of talk about your career. So where did you start and how did you end up where you are today?
So, my name is Erin Galloway. I currently refer to myself as a habit catalyst. And quite honestly, that has really been my entire life. I thankfully, had good habits and systems even when I was a kid. Um,
Mm,
so when I went off to college, I always worked. And so at some point in time, I like to tell this story because I think it sort of sets the groundwork for how my career trajectory went.
mhm.
Um, I had an opportunity to walk into the dean's office and say to him, like, "Hey, I'd like to work for you." And the office said he doesn't work with. And I was like, "Okay, great. I'd like to set an appointment." Okay, well, all right, you're persistent. Um, and I walked in there and after my appointment, and he said, "Well, I don't usually work with undergrads, but I have these three projects. And which one would you be?"
Mm,
And I listened to all of them and I said, "Well, which one do you think is the most challenging?" And he,
mm.
one particular opportunity. And I said, "Great, I'd like that one." And he honestly changed my complete career path that I never could have perceived coming to me without that one conversation.
Yeah.
He ended up being my mentor, my academic advisor in graduate school. I ended up working for him at Ohio State University and moving with him to Baltimore, Maryland to work at Johns Hopkins University.
My
So
gosh.
we worked together for many decades. But what I learned in that is to A, not be scared to ask for what you want.
Hmm.
B, he trained me to be a generalist. So
Mm.
I learned very quickly that I was someone who could transition between tasks. I could take on challenges. I was someone, even in my teenage years, that was willing to walk into a group of adults,
Mm.
um, give a certain level of leadership and direction. I was comfortable in spaces in which I was the minority instead of being the majority. And with every experience where I was half the time scared out of my mind, I always had someone to trust to say, well, he wouldn't put me here if he didn't think I could succeed.
Hmm. Yes. The thing
Uh,
that I am loving about the conversations we're specifically having this year on the podcast is that so much of this actually ties together. So we talk about imposter syndrome, and so why am I in the room with all these people? We talk about confidence building and saying yes to things and finding mentors, and all of the conversations have all overlapped, even if the theme of the episode is one thing, because I think it's a shared experience a lot of us go through as we're navigating our careers.
yes, it is. It is. And it's, there's so much faith in the process. And
Mm.
after he decided to leave and move to a completely different coast, and I knew my life would not be able to pick up as fast that time. I had to find a new path. And because of my ability to take leaps and land on my feet over and over again, I took a leap to a completely different type of company. I moved to corporate America. I moved in a position that was actually a downgrade in order to learn more. I became an executive assistant, which I'd never done before, but I knew in a real estate industry I was not familiar with. The
Mhm.
learn something new is to be the top person's right hand person.
Yeah.
Um, so I took the downgrade in finances, sort of downgrade in title, and said, let's learn something new. And that sort of set a plan for the next, I'll call it decade. And then now I'm at a place where I am doing more independent consulting because that's where life has taken me between my
Mhm.
daughter, my mother being ill. It really was something that I said, okay, let's try to see if I can use these skills that I've gained over the years,
Yeah.
do some more independent work.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Well, and I loved what you said about like finding ways to learn in a new space or in a new career and acknowledging what that might have to look like. Both, I just talked to someone the other day that I'm working with on their career search around helping them find the opportunities to say, what's important to me moving forward, and what are some non-negotiables? So can I take a step back in finances? Am I okay taking a step back in title, because it's actually going to then help me get the titles over here that are going to be more important moving forward. So all of those things, I think, to be purposeful in your career, you need to look at all of the aspects and do what's right, right? Like, I'm not saying, not be able to afford to pay your rent, but like do what's right when you're thinking about what goal am I trying to achieve?
Absolutely. And with every unique opportunity, I definitely learned more than I thought I would. One of my favorite moments that my past boss tossed me into is he said, "Hey, we're thinking about building this school."
Mm.
And I was like, "Okay, I'm interested." And he's like, "Just go to these meetings. Just attend them, represent me, see what happens." And as we sat there, he was like, "Oh, okay. What I didn't tell you was I need a representative,
Mm.
and then I need to actually like help design and build the school." And so I was like, "Oh, I don't know anything about that." So I just found the smartest person at the table with a set of instruction documents. And I said, "Listen, I need you to show me what's a door and what's a window."
Mm.
"Oh, okay, that's where we're starting with you." And I'm like, "Yep." But at the end, I ended up being the last person standing. And in fact, I walked the halls of the construction site with high heels, 9 months pregnant.
My
Um,
gosh.
and all work. And I will never take those opportunities back. I mean, those are transfer
Yeah.
skills of resiliency
Yeah.
and willingness to learn and curiosity with people that were on a much higher level than me.
Yes.
But I just walked in inquisitive and curious, and then just was patient to see what would come out of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love it. Well, and I think that, learner mindset, growth mindset, curiosity, like whatever phrase you want to use. But I think it's important, honestly, in all areas of our life, but especially as we're navigating our career, being open to different experiences, being open to things that might make us a little uncomfortable, but we're going to learn from it. Either we're going to learn that we don't like it, and that's okay too, or we're going to learn that we love it and we can lean into something that we never would have experienced or expected.
Absolutely. There were so many times where my family members or colleagues were like, "What in the world are you like? How is this possible?" And, I would say I would never take it all back. I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for the set of life skills that all of that taught me. The flip side, like there's always, right, the grass is greener. Being trained as a generalist is a tricky spot when you are looking for a career change, because
Mm.
you have so many skills that, you start to look into, "Oh, I could do that opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, that opportunity." And people are really, as you go to get hired, right? People are really suspicious of, "Can you really do all that?" Like that,
Mhm.
like the right package.
Yes.
Um, and so there are some pros and cons of the track I've had. But, on the grand scheme of life, it has served me.
Well, and what I think is really interesting is that you took sort of that natural personality that you had as a kid of, being a little more disciplined and organized, and the phrases you would use to describe yourself. And then you took all of the experiences that you gained as a generalist in all those different roles. And now you've brought those together in your own business and coaching people help achieve their goals in their lives and build healthier habits.
Absolutely. There is a reason I acknowledge that I got to be the chief of staff at a high level, high performing university in my early 30s, right?
Yeah.
That not everybody reaches that. And so, me being very disciplined, being very repetitive, being willing to, not have burnout, um,
Hmm.
finding that balance. And I achieved that level as a single mom, right? So
Wow.
there's things that you have to look inside yourself to say, what is a natural fit, and what can I do on the repeat that will not just bring me joy, because honestly, I'm okay with work being not always joyful.
Hmm.
I'm willing to be challenged and uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but what can you do so that way your energy balance is okay for the things that are uncomfortable and are challenging, because it can't all be that way.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I was literally talking to, ironically, my therapist this morning about places of uncomfortability, there's two different reasons for that. One is because it's uncomfortable for a reason, like danger zone, back out. But it's also because you're trying something new and pushing yourself to a place that might feel uncomfortable, but is actually the thing that's going to get you to the place you're trying to achieve whatever your goals are. And there's a difference between the two. And part of it's good uncomfortableness and some of it's not. And that's okay. And like to know the difference.
Absolutely. I think especially as you are thinking about changing careers or you're in the process that may have been, thrown upon you, not your own choice, finding the aspects of your day that are familiar, that you think about, right, can naturally preserve your decision making and your energy for those other things that you're unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
So that to me is where the habits of career change or being in the first 90 days of a new business, right? That's exhausting. Change the career after that. Or just in the search, you have to have aspects of your life that are on repeat. Otherwise, you won't have that good self-balance for the other new aspects that you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned those first 90 days as well, because that's actually where you get to set the best practices, the disciplines, the behaviors that are going to set you up for success. And often when I work with folks to help them find a new job, we actually continue working together through some of those first 90 days. Cause it's like, okay, great, you got it, but now you actually have to be successful in it, which I know you can be, but how can we help you do that?
Absolutely. And not like drive yourself to the ground.
Yes.
Right? Have to preserve your energy in some way, shape, or form. Because otherwise, if you go too hard,
Yes.
your brain space, and you're also trying too hard, right? You're instilling your purposes on the current one and not leaving your mind open to what is new to learn in this new environment.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, so we've sort of alluded to the work you do today with folks, habit catalysts, which I love that phrase. How are some ways that you help people now in your current practice? And then we'll talk about like how you can take that into your job search, et cetera. But how do you help people with that today?
So for me, one aspect that a lot of people overlook is the potential patterns in what they do in their business. There are things that people do, actions that people take on the repeat. They may just not put them in a particular order, or they may not see the patterns of their work. Or, for example, they may do, some certain practices for, the way they read emails or the way they do their journaling or the way that they organize their papers, and not realize if they just shifted the order of the way that they did it, it could actually save them time. And so a lot of what I work with people on is they might have these, big ideas. Either it's a new idea that they have for their business, or they just realize they're feeling very overwhelmed and they need to look for those patterns. And so I'll just talk people through, honestly, it's a very verbal and relationship oriented start. Just talk me through, right? Talk me through what you do. Talk me through how you organize your day. How do you organize your decisions? And then I just happen to notice, it is just something that has come naturally to me, of how to perhaps put together a puzzle for people that they could do consistently. And so, for example, recently working with someone who is decided to make a new offer in her nutrition business, she had a great idea. And I said, okay, so you go into day one with the client, what do you do? And she started talking it through. And I'm like, okay, so what you're saying is you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. So that way, every single time you walk in with a client, here's the order of the action you take and the conversations you have. And you don't do it in a new way every single time you have a client.
Oh, that is so smart and scalable and more efficient, not because like we're trying to be cut things down, but also it helps us also build confidence. Because if I know this is how I'm doing it every time, I have more confidence in doing it that way every time.
Absolutely. I think there's a really big misnomer about habits. Most of us are raised that habits come with some negative connotation. And I spend a lot of time with adults reworking that perception of habits. And then the other half of my time, I spend it on kids, talking through the positive aspects of habit.
Aw.
You don't have to break the cycles later. So do both ages in the work that I.
Oh, that is so cool. It is interesting how, and when also sometimes habits, so it's interesting, habits, when I think of it, can be negative in the sense of like, oh, it's like smoking and like overeating and like that's a habit I need to break. But then also
Mhm.
sometimes I feel habits are put upon us because I'm supposed to. So I need to build a habit of healthy eating. I need to build a habit of going to the gym because I'm supposed to, and like all of the things. And yeah, I know it makes me feel better, but, or like meditating or journaling or whatever the things that like conceptually I get I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm only going to do it if I build a habit of it because otherwise I'm not going to do it, which also has more of a negative connotation to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the habit tools that are out there on the market that people try to use, quite frankly, I think are really overwhelming.
Mm.
Um, there's there's tools that say, okay, just create a list every day, right? If you just had a list. And I talk to people, I don't know about you, but I can't do a whole list anymore. That's
Yeah.
not how my
Yeah.
I retrain myself that if I accomplish these 3 to 5 things,
Mm.
I am still successful on my day. Because if you take 3 to 5 and you times those out across 7 days a week, and then you times them across a month, I mean, that number is pretty impressive,
Yeah.
right? So why is that not okay for me to really focus in on certain actions that I'm going to take repeated, and then be okay with that smaller number?
Yes. Yeah. Giving ourselves the permission to get through the things that are most important or identify those things, not have to do everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that is really, really helpful. And I can so relate to so much of it. As we think about it within our careers, let's start first with sort of like the people that are doing their job searches right now. I know a lot of folks often will sign up with a coach just for the accountability of it, like and the motivation piece of it. How can they be building healthier habits in a job search to help them stay motivated and hit their goals?
I really think, I wish that people could be more aware of the potential burnout ahead of them if
Mm.
they try to, if you will, swing the pendulum too far on a regular basis, right?
Mm.
Enough friends and colleagues who all of a sudden out of the gates, right? They spend all this time with free networking events. They
Yeah.
do all the search, right? They do all the LinkedIn, and all of a sudden 3 or 5 days into it, they're like, ooh, I'm kind of tired.
Yeah.
And then they have to like spend time regaining that
Yeah.
energy to pick it up the next week. Um,
Mhm.
I really think that there's some simple tools that people can put into place, whether it be an Excel spreadsheet or a particular notebook, that you look at an entire week and you map it out in advance. You
Mm.
don't need to attend every free networking event, right? Yourself, I'm only going to attend 2,
Yeah.
right? And if I filled up my 2 this week, then I go to 2 next week. Um,
Mhm.
or I'm only going to direct message people on LinkedIn 5 times in one week. And then
Mhm.
after you hit that 5 times, then you list the people you didn't get to the next week, right?
Mm.
Space out the work. Um, I think not only does that avoid burnout, it also helps you reprioritize who may or may not be the most important,
That is
right?
great advice.
Right? Everybody could be that person. Every
Yes.
could be the big one that you needed to get.
Yeah.
We all know that that shiny penny probably isn't going to be the one.
Yeah.
It's going to be something else that you're going to learn about yourself. You're going to get more savvy in your
Yeah.
filters, and more strategic with your time as the process goes on.
Yeah, it is really interesting because I think you really hit on something key there is that you are going to learn as you do this. So if you hit up 25 people on day 1 and no one responds, I don't want to say you wasted 25 messages, but you didn't have a chance to see if your message landed first to see what you needed to adjust to then reach out to the next. So if you only reach out to 5, what'd you learn? Now reach out to a different 5 with any adjustments that you had to make. And I think you also will learn about the kinds of jobs you want to apply for. So as new jobs pop up, or as you start having some of those interviews, you may learn something about the companies, the definitions of the roles. Like even your former role, chief of staff, that means a lot of different things at a lot of different organizations. So if that's the role you're applying for and you apply for 50 chief of staff jobs, that's going to be very, very different.
Absolutely. And I think you look at it from the benefit can be looking at it from both perspectives, both from yourself trying to find the right position, and the other person, you presenting yourself as a good fit, right? So sort of respecting the other people's time, because I know so many friends, again, and colleagues that would all of a sudden reach out to their entire network and just say, hey, I'm looking, if you need anything, right? And then on them to spend their time and energy instead of kind of taking a step back, being very strategic about, okay, I'm going to contact these particular people about this type of opportunity, but I'm going to have a very clear call to action for them, right? It's always so much easier when you get a message that says, hey, I see you're connected to this person. I would like to know this person. Would you be willing to make an introduction, versus a very broad ask?
Yeah.
But I think time search process is required in order to get to that.
Well, and it also helps you identify what you need and then actually get the things that you need. Because if you just put it out there, say, hey, I'm looking, who knows what you're going to get? And then, that's noise that maybe you don't need, but also then do you feel bad because someone suggested something that you actually didn't want? And now that's awkward. I remember it's the flip of this, but I remember someone once gave me the best advice that if someone is going through something and you reach out to them and say, hey, let me know how I can help, they often will say, thank you, but I'm fine, because they don't know what they need. But if I say, hey, I know you're going through something, I'm going to bring dinner by tonight so you don't have to think about it, they're like, oh my God, thank you. So I know that's the opposite, but it's the same concept of the more focused you can be in your help, the better and more helpful you'll actually be.
1,000% agree with that. And I think the higher level up you get within an organization, when you get into the executive levels and the C-suites, right, the more clear your call to action is, the more likely they are to respond.
Yes.
And so, as people are mapping out their search, doing sort of an initial scan of, okay, based on today, what is it want? Am I looking in my own city? Am I looking in different cities? Am I looking for this particular career or another one? Right? Having a starter place for yourself where you are at the moment, and then mapping out some key tasks that you do every week or it's okay to do every day, right? But just make sure the list is reasonable, and just do it on repeat. Just don't the system, because as you said, it's every message or every search is a litmus test for what you learned and how you're going to change it. Because how you introduce yourself in the first email that you send out is going to be different than the 50th email or even the 10th.
Yes. Absolutely. You learn so much as you go. And you also just learn about what you're looking for too. So your ask might be a little different as you go through your process as well. So that leads into what you were saying earlier about burnout. So both the job search, but then also when you start a new job, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So what can folks do differently once they've gotten the job to apply sort of that burnout technique to a new job as well?
I'm a worker bee by nature, right? I'm not very good at the jobs that even claim to me you don't have to arrive till 9 and you could leave at 5, right? Like that was not natural for me, even if they gave me permission for that.
Yes.
But on the flip side of that is that I have a pretty high capacity for energy and enthusiasm in a given day. But I will never forget the one job when I did change careers. I was never so exhausted in my entire life. Like I would come home from a first full day and I would wake up the next morning still in my dress clothes from the day before.
Oh no.
Because I had just used up every ounce of energy that I had. And so when I fell asleep,
oh my gosh,
I literally would have lights on and wake up in my dress clothes.
Oh my gosh.
And to me, I had to do that a few times before I did some self-reflection.
Yeah.
And my boss was like, okay, wait, that's too much. So, I think if people can say to themselves again, these are the patterns I'm going to repeat. If I worked out every day before, I'm going to keep working out. I am not going to forgo the workouts because I want to learn something new at my new job, right? Meal prepped before, I'm going to meal prep now because I'm not going to all of a sudden try to go out to lunch with every new person in my office, because there could be something about that meal prep, not only saving money, but B, you might need that internal time to read. And so don't let go of the patterns that serve you at the risk of just trying to like fit in, learn more, and do it super fast. Really space that timing out so you also have energy to regroup, because your brain and your body are willing, just they're going to implode at some point if you don't find in the process.
Yeah. No, I think that's so true. And I think it's also the time to do it because you're also setting the right expectations moving forward. So the minute you start week 1 answering emails on the weekend, or showing up early to things, or not eating your lunch, you now are saying, this is how I work. It's okay that I'm working this way. And a new job is actually the chance to reset all of those bad behaviors.
Oh, it's such a good point. And even more challenging that people are working remotely, right? It would be even easier to do these practices and let any sense of schedule go, because all you have to do is pick up your laptop. But to your point of it sets an expectation, is if you feel so compelled to work or write after hours, then schedule the email to go out during workout.
Yes.
Don't try to do everything in the off hours, so that way you can't maintain what you're starting off with.
Yes. Oh, that's so important. Well, you have shared so many great tips, both on things you've learned on your, throughout your own career, and then how to apply that for job searches and starting a new job based on your expertise now as the habit catalyst, which I just love that phrase. As we wrap up, what's one place that you tend to see people struggle with this? So this all sounds great. Like, of course I should be doing all this. What tends to be people's blockers that you see?
I think when people are career changing, definitely I will say, and I point this out all the time, the free networking events to me are like where I've wasted the most amount of time and energy in my career. I would rather see people be more strategic with their time, meet with one person, commit to one organization and participate in those events. Don't join every free listserv because there's a lot of them. And don't join every free networking group because there's a lot of them, right? Research, be mindful of the people that align with you. And don't be so scared that every time you don't sign up for something or you don't attend for an event, that would have been the moment where the right opportunity. It's not the case, right? There's enough stories that the right opportunity and partner or mentor will align when it's supposed to be, and you don't have to fight against the process.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That is such an important message, that if it's the right thing, it will present itself again in another form. Yes. Well, thank you so, so much. Like I said, it's been so great hearing your own stories, but then your advice was so actionable and so focused that I think it's going to be really, really helpful for people. So we'll make sure that they know ways to connect with you, if they want to continue to follow your advice and connect with you offline. So thank you again so much for doing the episode. It was been great chatting with you.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity. I think it's a really important topic, and I'm glad to incorporate habits and good practices into it.
Thank you so much for listening to the Shine at Work podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review. Leaving a review takes just a few minutes and truly helps other people find the podcast. If you want to learn more about how I work with people to help transform their careers and shine brightly in their lives, let's connect. I work with amazing humans one-on-one to help them make a career change, go for that promotion, set career goals, and build a plan for success for a new job. I also lead group programs for new managers that are navigating this huge change in their careers and entrepreneurs who are building their teams for the first time. If any of that sounds like it could be helpful for you, you can email me directly at Karen@KarenDweeks.com or message me through Instagram, LinkedIn, or my website. I just want to give a final shout out, as always, to Astronaut Go Home for our music and Novice Studios for making the podcast come to life. Until next time, remember that you can and deserve to shine at work.